Hello everyone, this is Kat, and welcome back to the channel. And today I'll be talking about art builds using the new legendary cabins. And I'm gonna say up front, two of these three cabins are absolute garbage when it comes to making art builds. And the first one is gonna be the Gryphon. And the Gryphon is absolutely garbage when it comes to making art builds, because the site has no connections other than these at the bottom, and the front has a very unique, very odd shape, as in that this little piece right here doesn't align with this piece of pipe, but you don't want to have the pipe piece stick out either. And the pipe piece is just a tiny bit higher than any given block. So you're going to have to use something like the Bully shield fenders and the square cover to just raise your hood that tiny bit to have it line up. But then still, this part right here is not aligning up whatsoever. And this is literally the best I could do for after building probably close to half an hour. The rear is exactly the same. The best thing that lines up is actually the power slide bully part. And even then, it's not very good in terms of alignment. I could actually fit a Avia strut and a Avia. This is the Avia slope, and this one is the corner piece. For some reason, this cabin is asymmetrical in its hitbox in that case. So on the right side, you need to have the corner piece, so the Avia strut. And on the left side, you have the Avia slope piece that can fit in there. I'm pretty sure that you can put the strut on the slope side, but not the other way around. And yeah, due to the abysmal connection points, you are making too much of the body, and you end up with no spots for the weapons if you want to make some kind of art build. But that's something that was an issue with the Firestarter's cabins overall. They generally left very little room for good looking gun placement. For example, if this was one block in entirely and had connection points to this side, you would easily be able to put a non-turreted weapon on the side, something like the epic shotgun or something like that. And another problem was with how I did the front. These shielded fender only align it with the bully nose cut. So, and the next best thing was the grain hull left and right, which left a lot to desire as it came to actually having the front part of the hood. So yeah, that's what I got with the Gryphon. It's pretty much, again, the best thing I could do with a half an hour of time. The next is going to be the Nova. And the Nova, again, suffers from horrendous connection points. There's basically there's only these few connection points on the side. There's nothing on the front. The bottom plate is very, very wide. It's 6 wide right here. And it leaves no room to kind of put a wheel right here, because right here is already the hitbox for the Nova cabin. So while you would be able to put like a medium wheel out here, it will be just as wide as this frame, and wouldn't fit with the Dawn Children team. And the lunar wheels are much wider than any other wheels, so they would actually stick out around here, which would make the build entirely too wide. So I had to build a giant rear piece just to balance out the cabin to make it drivable. The pulsar, well, it looks pretty decent in this configuration. Has no vertical firing angles whatsoever. It can only fire horizontally, and it gets limited by the graphics on the side. So if you want to aim behind you, you can't turn it right here. It has to go all the way around. And of course, you have the dead angle where the Gravistar is. And yeah, this is all there is to it, to this cabin. It has, again, horrendous building potential, because it is just a giant cube with very horrible attachment points. So you need to balance it, and yeah, you need to fit your chassis somewhere, and it doesn't really allow you to do that properly. Like, you can't put wheels underneath the cabin properly, only this little overhang piece right at the two blocks in the back. But that's entirely it. But now we got the cohort, and oh boy, the cohort is actually pretty decent. Um, I built 3 builds with the cohort, and the first one is this autocannon machine gun armed hardened track build. And that's a whole lot of hardened track. It's like 4 in the back, then 2 here, which makes 6, then 10, and 14 in total. And yeah, it is pretty tall. It is very asymmetrical. And the main issue I have with this one is that it doesn't have any connection points in this like top ridge on either side. And the top connection points are pretty horrendous. Like there's kind of like just under a cube sticking out there. But the connection points are only in this side, which makes anything on the roof look very asymmetrical and wouldn't have a very good result, which you can see right here. And of course you have the drone deployer that needs to stay clear for the ability to actually help teammates. So you can't cover up this roof at all. Even having an overhanging barrel would block this ability from being used. So I actually had to stick with this gun all the way at the back, which made the build a bit larger than I wanted to be. And yeah, that's what I got for this build. And that said, the best thing you can do with the cohort is making these really large transport truck bed style machines. They have pretty nice space underneath to put your large Bigfoot wheels. These are the CKs from the Founders event, by the way. I finally got access to those. And you can put all the new, like the crane piece, this loader, etc. You can all put those in the back to kind of fill that up. And I ended up having one jewel in the back and the one real autocannon in the front. The real has, despite it looking pretty decent, like this is where it can fire down basically. It has issues with firing up, and of course you get these little, all kind of little stuffs that blocks it off. And if this thing is facing forward, it also blocks the cohort's ability from affecting teammates. But overall, I do like how it turned out. The Whirl is definitely a gun that looks nice in these kind of builds. It's pretty compact compared to something like the Whirlwind. Let's grab the Whirlwind here and replace it. You can see how much larger it will be. It's so much taller as well, but you can't put it further down into the hole compared to what you can do with the Whirl. Of course, the Whirl does get limited firing angles because of it, but it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make for art builds. So that's the first one of the truck beds, and the next one is the Leviathan, so I'm just going to go over here. And this is what I actually came up with. The Leviathan is a giant cargo train carrier that has 8 hurricanes in the top here, all facing vertically while having a radar mounted inside and a radar up here. But this radar, of course, does block the cohort from activating its ability for allies again. Some stuff that I did like to put is like this little cold exhaust right there. It's quite nice. I did have to extend this piece right here to actually fit the radar, which I'm not entirely happy about, but it's good enough. Other than that, I made extensive use of the new military fenders and everything. Especially these bumper pieces. These are really, really nice. Because they have they are L-shaped, and because of that, you can kind of put them around corners like this, and have them look as reinforcements for those corners. Those turned out really, really nicely. Other than that, I did use stuff like the left and right barriers, all sorts of stuff of small detail pieces. And I actually see that I forgot to save this one up because I did make some modification after I received the Founders, which is mainly around here and on the other side. But those are minor enough that I can look over that. We do have the new Doomsday Car hologram projector on here. I did show that already on stream though, so if you guys want to see how that one looks, you can check out the previous Crossout stream. They want to see me build the most of these, except for the Nova and Gryphon ones. You can see those on the stream as well. But if you guys want to see a dedicated build video on any one of these, please comment down below, so I know which ones you guys want to see. Overall, I don't think I'm going into the match for this video. It's too many builds to cover, and they're all art builds anyway, so they're not really suited to go into battle to begin with. So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this little showcase of what you can do with these cabins, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. See ya!